I'm Captain James, Internal Affairs. What's your badge number, officer?
Sir, I didn't realize.
I understand I'm being detained, but you have yet to tell me for what.
I'm gonna need you to step out of the car.
Captain Peterson, Internal Affairs. We need to have a conversation.
Sir, I didn't realize.
A routine stop. A career-defining moment. The late sun washed Sacramento in streaks of gold as Eric Porter steered his sedan toward home. The day's stress clung to him, eased only by the quiet hum of the engine and faint music on the radio. At a red light, he slowed, waiting for green, until flashing blue and red lit up his rearview mirror. A police cruiser slid in behind him. Eric pulled over, lowering his window. Out stepped Officer Bradley Larson, mid-30s, buzz-cut, chest puffed under his badge. He carried himself like a man who expected obedience. "License and registration," Larson said flatly. Eric handed them over without fuss, calm, deliberate. But Larson's stare lingered too long. "Searching for something more. Know why I pulled you over?" "Not entirely," Eric replied evenly. "You didn't make a full stop." Eric frowned, then nodded. "I thought I did, but if not, I understand." Larson studied him, suspicion creeping in. This wasn't about a stoplight anymore. His tone sharpened. "You're not from around here, are you? Moved recently?" "The address is on the license." But Larson wasn't listening. His questions edged past protocol into interrogation. "Where you headed in such a hurry?" "Home." The tension thickened. Eric stayed calm, but Larson pushed harder. "Step out of the car." Eric's hand tightened on the wheel. "Is there a reason, officer?" "You don't want to make this harder." Eric exhaled and complied. On the pavement, he looked composed, broad-shouldered, tailored suit, polished shoes. Not threatening, not nervous, just steady, hands on the hood. Eric arched a brow. "Weapons? Do I look like I'm carrying?" "Do it," Larson snapped. Eric obeyed. The pat-down was rough, deliberate, meant to provoke. He didn't react. "You're clean," Larson muttered, annoyed. "Of course," Eric said coolly. The balance shifted. Larson pressed on, voice rising. "You seem to know a lot about what I can and can't do. You a lawyer or something?" Eric smiled faintly. "Or something." Larson stepped closer, anger thinly veiled. "You think you're smarter than me?" "I believe in fairness," Eric replied. "And I don't see much of it here." The words hit like steel. Larson slipped, muttering, "People like you always—" then stopped, realizing too late. Eric's calm sharpened. "People like me?" Larson bristled, faltering. He had crossed a line. Eric let the silence bite before speaking, low and steady. This stopped being about a traffic violation a long time ago. Larson tried to recover, but the ground was shifting beneath him. Eric reached slowly into his pocket. Larson's hand twitched at his holster. "No need," Eric said. "I'm reaching for my badge." He flipped open a leather wallet. A gleaming emblem caught the fading light. "Eric Porter," he said evenly, "Head of Internal Affairs. Sacramento Division." Larson froze. His authority drained away in an instant. "My job," Eric continued, "is making sure officers uphold the integrity of this badge. Tonight you failed." Larson's composure cracked. His hand slipped from his belt. His confidence bled into panic. "You assumed I didn't know my rights. You assumed I didn't deserve respect. That's not just a problem for me, officer. That's a problem for everyone you stop in this uniform." Larson swallowed hard. Eric's tone never rose, but the indictment landed like a hammer. "Here's what's going to happen. You'll return my documents. And you'll hear from me again. Not as the driver you tried to intimidate, but as the man who decides whether you keep that badge." Larson's trembling hands returned the license and registration. Eric slid them into his wallet, then paused before opening his car door. "Remember this, Officer Larson," he said over his shoulder. "The badge doesn't make you better than anyone. It makes you accountable to everyone." Eric drove off. The officer left standing in the dying light, shaken, future uncertain. The next day, at his desk in Internal Affairs, Eric sifted through Larson's file. The record wasn't clean. Complaints of unprofessional conduct, excessive stops, misunderstandings. All brushed aside quietly. Too quietly. This wasn't just about Larson. It was about a culture, And culture started at the top. Later, across from Chief Daniels, Eric laid it out. Larson isn't an isolated problem, Eric said. He's a symptom. Quiet discipline doesn't fix this. We need a department-wide review. Training, protocols, accountability, everything. No more sweeping it under the rug. Daniels leaned back, heavy with the weight of it. You'll ruffle feathers. Good, Eric answered. It's time someone did. Weeks later, the Larson case sparked something bigger. Hearings, public forums, a push for change. Larson was suspended, but Eric knew the real win was systemic, preventing the next Larson. Months later, Eric stood at a podium before officers, officials, and community members. Justice isn't only about catching criminals, he said, voice ringing clear. It's about ensuring those sworn to protect do so with fairness and respect. That's the badge I believe in, and that's the badge we're building together. The hall erupted in applause. But Eric wasn't chasing applause. He was chasing change, and now change had begun.